Hey, and welcome back to another She Is More Than Existing podcast. It has been a hot minute since I have been in to record one of these. My name is Corrie Cameron. Well, Corrie Thorne Cameron, as many of you would know me as, but my married name is Corrie Cameron. And I am so excited to be back in here to record another one of these. It has been a hot minute. And for those who are new, for those who are new, I am an author. I'm an um, transformational coach, light worker coach, um, psychic medium, modern day mystic, all those things. But without all the titles, without every part of all of that, and why I do these podcasts and why starting this podcast was so important to me was because, like everyone else, I am an everyday woman. I was the founder and creator of the More Than Existing uh, book, the program, and everything that has become More Than Existing. And of course, it's become so much more than I could have imagined. But above all of that, and my why to having such a push to record a to report a to record a podcast this evening is that this is about keeping it real. It is about the everyday woman. It's about my whole why to creating the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards. It's my why to the More Than Existing book, my why to my truth existing beyond the reflection. All of this, and it's not just to be able to promote it and sell it. The simple fact about it all was that it was my way of releasing the pressures off of myself by becoming so radically honest with myself, taking ownership and responsibility for every ounce of everything that existed within me. And everything that was my story, everything that was I thought was my story, that were just, you know, the thoughts of others repeated over and over, that becomes your truth, became my truth, that we just carry. And so this journey has not been one that it has been for the faint of heart for the healing journey, but it's been something that's been so worthwhile taking. The last time I recorded one of these was shortly after I had gotten married. And I'm one of those late bloomers in getting married. I got married for the first time this past summer in July. And it was a first for me. I had never been married. I've always had the same last name. I've had several ex common law relationships, but I've never stepped into walking in through that moment of experiencing marriage. And I said it was the one thing that I didn't know I needed. It was the one thing I didn't know I really truly needed. Now, it's only been recently that I actually had the courage to go change my name, to actually go start the process of changing my name. I don't know. In my heart, I feel like it was just like, oh, it was every excuse, make every excuse, right? I have to have surgery. I have to do this. I have to do that. I need that piece of ID, da da da. And when I went to get my driver's license, honest to God, when I went to get my driver's license, I chuckled and I'm like, well, there's a bullshit story if there ever was one. Because when I went to get my driver's license, I'm like, oh, don't you take this? And she said, no, you get to hold on to this now. We've been doing this for a few years that you get to hold on to this. Well, your new driver's license come because you'll need an ID. And I'm like, well, that just debunked my other story, but it was a fear story. It was a part of me that was literally waiting for something to happen, for me to, for it not to work out. That's how much sometimes we don't know how deeply ingrained and embedded those fairy stories are, that I was still somehow holding on to that independence, somehow holding on to that. I have to self-preserve. I have to preserve myself. I have to protect myself. That sense of having to be responsible for me, and that's it. And so, yeah. And it was just one of those moments, that ties into, I just went through a back surgery, still in recovery. I want to lean over to the side. I can't lean over to the side. I have to keep catching myself here. Um, but it was one of those experiences where I really, truly recognized how deep that fear went. But I woke up one morning, I just said, today's the day. Today's the day. I'm going today, and I'm going to do this today. I'm going to face this today and do what I really, truly need to do. And it's not that everyone changes their name. And in my work, I always will come up as Corrie Thorne Cameron. That's what most people will know me as for work wise, for at least for a while. Um, and because we share a same name. And so and so we, it was just one of those moments though. I woke up and I said, today's the day. And I think it was more of a conviction to just tell myself, you're safe to, you're safe to let yourself experience this experience. And everything in life is experience. We're here for the experiences. We don't know how everything is going to unfold exactly. And yes, I'm a psychic medium. Yes, I'm a mystic. Yes, I can see the future. Yes, I can see those things. But we don't dive deep into that realm of the guaranteed of this is exactly how it's going to turn out. We are influenced by our choices. Every choice that we get to make because we have free will, because we have that inner authority, that personal authority, because we have that solar plexus energy center, because we have will, because we have the power of our free will, we get to choose, just like we get to make wishes. But in that sense of action, and because we can envision, because we have an imagination, we can create kind of anything into our reality and tell ourselves that's our truth. And that happens so often within our lives, but that's only a part of what I want to talk about today. So there's so many things. I'm like, I feel like I could podcast forever right now. And I know I will be doing a lot more podcasts. I have so much to share with you. And I do have another page. I have my woo woo page. That page is Corrie Thorne, psychic medium. Go over there. You can see all my channel messages. I do share this, cross share this over, but I've been podcasting here on YouTube for a couple years. And I think there's like 20, I don't even know, probably like 23 podcasts in here now. And they're all about the everyday moments of a woman's life. But I want to bring this to my big why. So my big why for this podcast was I really want to talk about some of the things that I have been experiencing this past year. So if you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll hear me talk about autoimmune, hear me talk about body pain, living in body pain. And the surgery that I just received was a spinal fusion. It does take, it was a lot of contemplation and a lot of trying everything else to get to the final decision to know that spinal fusion surgery was right for me. And when I had the surgery, we absolutely knew it was the absolute right thing to do. It removed, I don't have any of the old pain, but I am still in recovery. I'm only 7 weeks out from surgery. And I do get very exhausted and I do get very tired very easily. But I also recognize in the more that I start to do some of the workout is some of the other things that are still present in my body, including being 50, almost 53 years old now, and the lack of hormones and and going through that change within my life, but also the autoimmune things that are still have an effect because of past manifesting itself into that future self. But these are all a part of the journey that I will share over time, but I want to backtrack this a little bit. And I want to talk about something that's so much deeper. And it's something that I have been holding back on sharing. I shared a little bit in my writings. I kind of write around it. I kind of talk around it, but I never fully ever talk about it. And I never really fully ever have that great conversation about it. But I want to have that conversation. I want to talk about this. And it's that level of knowing within yourself of how when you're existing in your own pain stories, how deep that pain is. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I know I'm not the only one, because I work with a lot of women. I still got my elastic on my right waist. I work with a lot of women and men. I know what it's like to be hanging on to that fine line, that thread, and that we have will and we have choice. And I know what it's like to fight for every breath that we take, and that sometimes and some days it's hard to fight for that breath, and that puts us in situations and moments of where we really truly question our own existence. So many reasons behind my more than existing. And we struggle with that existence. And I feel myself like I feel the healer in me coming online as I'm speaking about this. And I can feel my energy rise. And I know this is the time. I don't know how to truly bring it all out. I don't script this. I don't write this. I have to let this conversation come up and out of me. And so let me begin here. And I don't want to go back into all of the past, but I want to begin right here at this pivotal moment in my life. I remember when I was writing, I believe it was More Than Existing. When I was writing More Than Existing or writing Beyond the Reflection, I don't even remember. Times just go. Um, and just having this pivotal moment in my life of where I had to walk away from my career. I had to walk away from my 30 plus years of hairdressing and aesthetics and all the things that I loved. And it wasn't just walk away from working behind the chair. It was walking away from my business. And it was a highly successful business. I was definitely bringing in over, well over the six figure. Like I was doing extremely well and was very successful for a lot of years in that industry. Plus, I was very successful in this industry and working with my clients and traveling. So I had worked my way into two full-time businesses that were merged into one. And I just found myself, one day just knowing that everything in my body was collapsing on me. It was giving out. Um, and so I knew I had to walk away from behind the chair. And I would say it and I would work my way down, but there was just the day that it was done. Walking away, and what I didn't recognize within what I didn't realize that I was going to have to walk was the grief story. Because when I was no longer so busy with two businesses, when I was no longer behind the chair, is that this overwhelming sensation started to enter in to me, through me and through my body, and all of my own personal experiences, all of my past, all of my hurts, all of my trauma became even more. Now I had already just gone through, so I'm like, I thought I was done so much the healing, right? This was in layers. It comes in layers. I mean, when I first started my healing journey in 2006, that's when I wrote down the statement, I'm done. I'm finding a life of more than just existing. So by the time I got to the point of actually writing the book, by the time I had gotten to this point, I figured I had overcome all of those deep seated hurts, pains, the things that I had experienced, the things that I'd gone through. But I wasn't prepared for that grief. And with that story also became my daughter had gotten married. So many things that no one prepared me for when I had to say, when they ask you who gives who gives that child, who gives this person, right? Who gives your daughter? And I had to say, I do. And everything in my heart was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. What do you mean giving her? I'm not giving her up. I'm not giving her over to to her husband. She's mine. She's mine. She's my daughter. And I'm her mom and she's my only child. I've lived and breathed life for her. All racing through the head. And after I realized these were all endings in my life. These were all endings of chapters and more chapters. Hence why I still write. Hence why I got all these books to come out. And so what I realized in that moment was that I was in these endings. Now I'm going to skip a lot of the story. They're in the books. You can read about them, the phoenix moments, the rising moments, the up and downs. But the deeper part of this and the root of all of this that I really want to speak about was what I really wasn't prepared for was what was going to start to happen to me when I started to not want to be alive. And I was never prepared to not to want to be alive, that I didn't want to be here. Life had become so heavy and so much work and so complicated within me that I don't know if complicated is the word. It had become very confusing, I guess. I don't know, because I was living in my physiotherapist actually put it very good to me yesterday. She said you were having honeymoon stages, right? You had your surgery, you were feeling really good, and then your body collapsed. And when your body collapsed, the honeymoon stage of feeling really good and making some big choices and big changes in your life all had disappeared. So all the honeymoon stages and then all the thriving you were doing felt like it had just gone down the drain. And so honeymoon stage is what she said. Everything else was the things that started to come to me after that moment and really became the important why to why I just knew when I came home was I need to start recording this. I need to start sharing this story. I need to start sharing this experience and not just my woo woo, not just what I can give to others, but as a woman to woman, knowing I've been there. I know what this is like. And it became like this overwhelming desire, like something just took over of where I found myself fighting for every single day. And I don't mean fighting through my physical pain. And I couldn't even call it a outright depression. It was something so much deeper. It was on a soul level. And I'm not discounting anyone's depression, and don't use mine to replace anything else you got going on in your life. With working with your psychologist, nothing, because I've worked through this stuff. This is journeys I've taken, and working with a team to also help me through, understand some of this and analyze some of these experiences for myself. And also being so spiritually so deep into my spirituality and practicing. So I just want to really bring this forward that um, I want to share my experiences, but my experiences may be able to just help others to know that you're not alone. Um, and so during that time and during that experience was I just really struggled to be alive. And it felt like it took everything to stay alive. And I kept saying, I feel like something is truly, it's almost, I feel like I'm being chased down as a light, as a light worker, as someone who really truly does my best to live my best life. I really feel as if I'm being chased down. Like something is really trying to take me down. Whether it's a curse, whether it's somebody, and they said power of the thoughts in the mind. There was nobody any more positive than me. There was no one who didn't have as much love, light, and even God around me. My connection to my biblical work, my connection to my relationship to Jesus. Like I had all covered, all covered. It wasn't that it was anything that wasn't covered in my life. This was something happening on a deeper level. And what I've really come to recognize was the ego is so powerful. Our mind is so powerful. But what was really truly, I believe, may have been existing in me was my fear of letting that parts of myself go. I was holding on to something, but I couldn't understand why. But I also, in the same breath, I didn't want to be here. I really didn't want to be here. I just couldn't do any more pain. Pain is real. Pain is effing real. And the misery is they say misery is a choice. The misery sometimes, and I've really come to understand this, misery is choice to a certain level, but misery is not a choice. When there's nothing else left, that you just don't even, you can't even breathe anymore. It's not just a choice. So I found myself experiencing these moments, and these would come in flashes. They would appear. I would outright have this overwhelming sense of, you need to just let yourself go. You need to just let yourself die. And it would just wash over. Now, I'm very strong. I'm very powerful in my heart and in my mind, and I would fight back. And I would find myself fighting back, and I would be fighting back saying, no fucking way. No way. No way. No way. No way. And then there was just this point where I just finally just said, I would just like to go to sleep and just not come back. I would just like to go to sleep and not come back. I don't want to do anything, but I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And the more time that this happened, the more good things kept happening in my life. And I kept having the good things. And I keep hearing myself say, stop recording this, don't record this, don't share this, don't put this out here. But good things would happen. And I would have temporary moments of joy and happiness. I would feel this. But over time, I recognized this was dark. This was like a dark night of the soul journey. This was me having to really go to that place, to really face and see that sense of how much our that shadowy essence of ourselves have really truly been fighting for us. Now, there was experiences that came that were, I just remember sharing in one of my books. I'm like, I think it's in one of my books. I don't even know where these writings are. I write so much, I don't even know. I remember sharing that I had this big bottle of morphine that that was overprescribed, that was left on the end of a bathtub. And I would sit it there every time I get in the bathtub. And I would sit there in the bathtub and the water would run out and I would be curled up in a little ball. And one night, as I was sitting there, this big golden light appeared. And this big golden light just started to speak to me in such a way that just said, look in your reflection, look deeper. The only one that truly is not happy with you is yourself. There's something deeper going on here. And I thought, okay, so maybe I need to start writing more affirmations. Maybe I need to start being more positive. And that bottle sat there. And I would put it back in the fridge and I'd take it out and I'd put it there and it was almost as if it was a test, like a temptation, but yet nothing would let me touch that. But it was always there, just telling me, you have a choice. You have a choice. You can choose this, or you can choose this light. You can choose this life. You can choose to believe this. You can choose to believe that. You can choose to be this. You can choose to go here. And I think back to these times now and I'm thinking, I don't even know where I was or how this was truly happening, but it was happening. It was happening. And it was happening on such a deep level that I think it was so beyond even my human self sometimes. I think this goes so deep into his soul and I'm still processing, but for some reason I'm really feeling a need to share this with you. And this went on for a couple years. This didn't happen like overnight. This wasn't just like a one two time thing. This was happening over a long period of time. And I realized that there was so many things that would arise during that time to show me all the things that really truly were not right in my heart, were not right in my life. The things that I just said it was okay to, that really wasn't okay, that a lot of things weren't okay, that so many things had taken place in my life that didn't really make sense for me or to me, that I really truly had to work through. And jumping forward here. So over moving again, like moving several times, I had done 3 moves in a couple of years. And then I had settled into this home that we're in right here, right now. And I thought it was all done. And it began again. And it began again. And it came back again. And I'm like, why? Why are these thoughts coming back again? Why is this thoughts here? And then one day, the thought told me to stop and sit. And to sit with her. And she called herself the fat Corrie. And it was the burdens of myself. And the way that it was put to me was that it was like the sacred prostitute energy. It was or sacred whore, they sometimes call it. It was that parts of myself that you just sell off to be enough, the pleaser, the fixer. There's so many titles that kind of goes with that as well. But I will expand on these again. I'll come back to these. But this is the things that started to come up for me and start to rise for me. And it was like, do you really hate yourself that much? Do you really like you so much, you're so much for everyone else, and you've just, as much as you've accomplished, you can't see what we can see. And I thought, this is not true. That's not true. That's not what I think. That's not what I feel. That's not what I believe. I don't believe that. That's not it. I don't believe that that's not true. And it was almost like a conversation with myself on such a deep level that we don't realize how deep our denial is and how much we deny those parts of ourselves. It's like, okay, well, if you really loved yourself that much, why would you always be justifying and explaining of why you got 10 pounds on, why you're still not happy, why things are still not right, why you got to keep doing more, why you have to keep putting out more, why you just can't be enough. What is all of that? And all that went, like, there was just such a deep ingrained story that took place with this. Jumping forward to, we had decided to get married. So we went away for the weekend before we got married, and we went to North Country Fair, and I was only there, a few hours. Boom. I was so sick. And I mean sick. Within hours, I could hardly walk. I was walking with my cane the whole time we were there. My throat, my hip, my back, everything, all of my autoimmune just like kicked in. I could feel the inflammation and the infections going through my body. And I'm like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live. I can't live like this. We come home. I'm sick. We decide we're going to do the wedding. We're going to do it in a few weeks. So it was like the end of July. I'm well. I get well again. As soon as I get home, I start doing well. I start being happy with myself. And then the wedding happens, and we decide we're going to we couldn't really do a holiday. So we're going to go camping. So the following weekend, we decided we're going to start camping. We were only out at one of the Métis campgrounds. And we were there only a few hours, and it was so beautiful. So many things that were happening in that experience. And I had a glass of wine, and we decided to walk down by the water. And as I'm walking down by the water, I felt something on my finger, and I thought it was my ring. I thought was digging into my hand. So I went to twist my ring. And when I did, it was on my right side, and there was a ring on my finger, and I went to twist it. And when I did, I realized this was a wasp, and the wasp had bitten my finger, stung me. And I'm like, and so I dropped my hand down the water, dropped the wasp down the water. And I'm like, and instantly I looked at my hand and I said, this is going to be horrible. This is not going to be good. And I just knew in that moment, and start taking Benadryl. We went to the store next day. I got some Benadryl. Like, there was nothing I didn't do. Like, I treated it with everything that I possibly could. By the following Sunday, I couldn't even stand up. Or by the Sunday, I was so sick. By the Monday, I literally was collapsing on the floor in so much pain. I was begging God to take me. Just fucking take me. I can't live like this. I can't do this. I had hit rock bottom with a whole new level of pain. I'm like, why? I just had this beautiful experience, these beautiful moments. Why am I back here again, God? Why is this happening again? And I back and forth to the hospital, and just the only thing they could do for me was to keep injecting pain meds, because there was nothing else they could do. The surgeon was away, and they're like, we're so sorry. Like, we don't even know what else to do for you. And the pain was so unbearable. And during that time, I just remember going to sleep, and I had taken and I don't take any medications. I'm not someone, I don't work. I know in my work, I have to be purely clear. So no matter how much pain, I never took any medications until those moments. And of course, I wasn't working. We didn't know if I'd even be able to walk again until surgery. Like it was just so bad. And I just remember I had taken about 47 pain meds of tramadol in 47 tramadol plus all the injections in less than a week. There was nothing, like it was not budging this pain. And I remember going to sleep one night. And as I went to sleep, all I could see was this, as if I was being pulled down. And I could see this darkness pulling me down. And it was trying to drag me. And I'm kicking and I'm screaming. And I'm like, no way, like just fighting for my life. Fighting for my life. And I could feel myself pulling myself back up. And as I'm pulling, as I just keep kicking and kicking, these two big angels appeared. And these two big angels lifted me up. And as they pulled me up, they set me on a bench. And they told me everything to do the very next morning. And I'm a little bit argumentative with the angels. And I'm saying, well, I've already tried to get in for this massage. And so she would, and get her to do lymphatic drain, get her to help move this through the body. And they said, and go see your chiropractor. It's a beautiful lady that I see, and she works in more than just her chiropractor work. And I'm like, and they're like, if not, this is your last day. You will not last another day. You want to live, you have to do this. So I woke up the next morning. I'm in so much pain. I'm like, you've got to get me to the chiropractor. I opened up my app into my massage therapist. And I'm like, no way. I've already looked. She is booked solid so far in ahead. And how am I going to get there? I can't even get to the vehicle. There happened to be a massage opening for, I think it was like 11:30. There was a chiropractor appointment for right away type of thing for 9 o'clock. My husband took my walker, took me, got me to the chiropractor. I cried all the way to the chiropractor in so much pain, couldn't even sit up. And I walked in, I just said, I know this might sound crazy, but I feel like the wasp was killing me. And she said, of course it is. Released histamines in your body. And this is the release of the antihistamines in your body. You have an autoimmune disease and it's attacking the right, and it's attacking your spine. It's your weakest spot. That's where it's attacking. She gave me a whole list of things that I needed to do, and I had to follow them strictly. We had to take these there's a name on them, but we call them mop up pills. And it was to mop up and clean out all of this stuff in the body. I had to bath twice a day, had to take all of these, and then I had to do detox baths with baking soda, apple cider vinegar, and vitamin C and Epsom salts, 4 ingredients. And I had to do these baths twice a day, every single day for, I don't know, a week. And then see the massage therapist within, and I mean, I couldn't even walk without a walker. I was that far, I could barely speak. Within about the third day in, I was already feeling better. I came off all of my fruits and stuff that would be, that would be like an allergen that you could have, like that bees would go in, and just all the things that would have been tied into pollen. So I came off all of my fruit, and she didn't tell me this. This was all things that started to come up. She did give me the diet list of things to do. I don't remember all of that right this moment, but within a few days, I start to feel somewhat better. I had called my surgeon's receptionist in between there. The wasp bite, I believe, may have been a saving grace. It got me bumped in for my surgery quicker, but also at another clinic so that they could get this done and get it done now type of thing. So in January, I went for my surgery. While I was in my surgery, I knew before I went, I'm like, there's going to be I already seen it. They've already told me there's going to be a complication. Like my guides have already said there's going to be a complication, and you're going to, experience some complications. It's not going to be an easy surgery. And I woke up to find out there was there had been a mishap and I was going to have to stay on my back for 24 hours and not be allowed to move. In the surgery, my vitals kept going down. When I came back out and they had to sedate me and do all those things, I found myself going to this tunnel. And I kept hearing over, like, it was as if I have this choice to go home. And everything inside of me was back to that. And I kept telling everyone, I'm going to die on that table. There's a part of me going to die. And I know it's going to die. And I think I'll wake up, but I'll never be the same. Like, something is changing inside of me. Something is happening. But I felt myself fighting. I felt myself slipping into the tunnel. I felt myself going home to heaven. I could see myself leaving. And everything came back into, you can go home. You can stay here. You can go back. And I kept repeating the same thing. But I need to go back. My daughter's going to need me. My daughter's going to need me. I know my daughter's going to need me. But I realized that I was kind of coming in and out of this consciousness. And I would hear them say, you know, her vitals, it's her vitals. We got to get her vitals up. She stops breathing. And so I was stopping breathing. And I would go again. And then it was as if I had to really, truly visit my why to being alive. And my friend appeared, and my friend passed away a few months ago, and she's one of my dear, closest friends. And she passed away a few years ago, and her birthday was just recently, and she would have been 53 before me. And she appeared, and I just remember opening my eyes, and I said to my husband, I'm like, she's here. Jackie is here. And he, and then I was gone again. And when I went this time, she's like, you got to go back. Our girls are going to need you. And I'm like, is that enough? Because they don't need me. They don't need me. They can make it without me. And instantly I heard God. I heard the angels. I heard the guides. I could hear all of this. And it was, you need to give the right answer. You need to give the right answer. Who are you returning? Who do you need to return for? And I'm like, I need to return for me. I need to return for me. I deserve to live for me. For the first time in my life, I deserve to live for me. And with that, I just knew I wanted to be here for my husband. I didn't want to leave my husband. I didn't want my husband to have lost a mom years ago and then to lose his wife. I didn't want those things to happen. But I also knew that wasn't enough. And what I realized with all of these experiences and all these times that I have been fighting for my life, as if I'm being chased down, was I had to give the right answer. That I needed to want to be alive for me. I needed to want to live, to feel alive, to feel the experiences of life. I didn't know, other than having moments and these moments of happiness and joy experience and things that should make us happy. But I've experienced so much hurt, so much pain in my body, so many experiences. And as someone who can hear, feel, sense everything, is that I can hear the chatter around me. I can hear the people talking about me. I can hear all of those things. So I spend my life pretending that it's not really there, that I'm not hearing the shadows of other people speaking, their whatever language it is they may be using, their thoughts of me, whatever that is. I can hear that. I can connect to that. But also, I know the love, and I know the support, and I know these things. But no matter how much everyone else is here for us in this lifetime, no matter how much, other people are helping us, we have to learn the power of saying yes to ourselves. because our past, our old brain, our old thoughts of feeling like we have to be there for everyone else, we have to do this, we have to do that, that will always chase us. That will always chase us. We're always going to be in an ending and a new beginning. We're always going to be in a grief story. We're always going to be in experiencing life, but we came to feel. We get to be human to feel. But the moment that I started to really connect that I was here for me, that everyone else is a part of my experience, and they're the parts of my life that enhance my life or give me an opportunity to experience and to learn the power to use my choices in those moments, that those moments are for me to decide, was that what I really recognized was this is how you get to that sense of creating that heaven on earth. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I do know I'm done fighting for my life. I'm done questioning whether or not I deserve to be here. I'm done with all of the other things. I do still have shit in my body that needs healing. But I had to really learn to not just do the shadow work, not to do the inner child work. These are all layers and things that we go through in this dark night, the soul and the journey and the way back. And as you're coming back, there's always someone trying to burst your bubble. There's always somebody out there who's putting a curse with their thoughts upon you. Words are spell words, right? They spellbound us. So somebody tells you you're less than, somebody judges you. I am the worst self-critic. Anything anyone says, I would take it personally. And how can I become better? Instead of questioning, how can they not be such an asshole? How can they be better and be nicer people? Why do I have to keep being the one to change something about myself because somebody else has a jealous story and envy or are just being a pure asshole? Why do I have to always be the one to change my reactions to their actions? And I start to really feel this sense of empowerment. And what I recognized within myself was, I need to sit with my soul. I need to sit with the soul. I need to sit with the divine within myself. And if there's a possibility that I could be that divine self, that I deserve to be happy, that I deserve to be well, then I can also now see that there was something inside of me fighting for me. And that's the essence of the soul. It wasn't done living. It's so easy to, it's so easy to get caught up in our hurts and our pains and to just stop doing the things that we really truly know we need to do. It's easy to never let our grief story come its full circle, because everything has another bloom. Everything can bloom again. As long as we have a breath, we have an opportunity. As long as we have this opportunity to breathe. And so there's so many little pieces of that story that I want to fill in. But I really want to talk about this journey of not wanting to live and what it feels like to not want to live, but yet, on the other hand, still fighting for yourself. It's like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. It's the same thing. It's all this fine line that we walk. And we walk this fine line and we can dream of, well, everyone else is over here. I want this, but you're not looking anymore into anyone else's life. There was no time for me to look into anyone else's life and give a shit what anyone else was doing. I was in too much pain to care about what anyone else was doing. All I knew was that I figured every solution to all the pain stories might come if I could release the stories. And it was a part of it, definitely was a part of it. But where the real truth came was when I could start to say yes to me. The opportunity with my daughter and her getting married was my opportunity to say, okay, now you got time for you. Make time for you. The opportunity with the door closing is, okay, here's an opportunity for you to do something for you. Here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity. But sometimes it's hard to see the opportunities. And the opportunities that were arising was in seeing how What's the word that I want to use here? Resilient. How resilient I am. How powerful that power is within me. How persistent that I am. And I recognized the more that I began then to sit with my soul, was that the language towards myself began to change. It's could it be listed as stubborn? Yeah. Could I be stubborn? Of course. But I'm fucking resilient. And, but it was so hung on to parts of myself and being here for everyone and to be alive because everyone was going to need me. People were going to need me. I need to be alive for this person. I need to be alive for that person. I need to be alive to finish this. But in the meantime, I have always been writing my legacy. I have been writing and creating all of this work because I didn't believe I was going to be here. So there was this bad in my head, but the soul, the divine was God, angels, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, was here having me see and write out all of this work. And I just remember God saying to me, I didn't ask you to sell it. I didn't ask you to market it. I asked you to write it. I ask you to write the stories. I ask you to write the stories of your life to share, not another how to, because nobody can tell you how to do it. Nobody can tell you how you're going to fix it. Nobody's going to tell you how you can get better. There is no how to's. It's what works and don't work. And the more that you chase what somebody else's exact formula is down another road of hell. What I discovered was that I had to really truly sit with what I thought was darkness, and I had to sit into the essence of sitting with the shadow and then returning and sitting and bringing that self online and recognizing that I was worth saving, that I am worth saving, and not to hate on myself, not to be so hard on myself, but to see how much that if I was this valuable in other areas, see how valuable I am to my own life, to see how valuable we all are. And I hope that this story inspires at least one. If it gets to one person and it touches one person's heart, then I'm happy. I'm happy because trust me, the judgments, the hurts, other people's choices that they have made that has been thrown up on me and into my face, that you don't make anyone else make their choices and decisions. When you're already down and somebody kicks you, it is horrible. It is fucking painful. It fucking hurts. And then that sense of wanting to defend yourself, you defending yourself is making yourself guilty. When you start to know you know who you're not. And the one thing I have known along this journey is I know what I'm not. I know who I am enough to know who I'm not when somebody else says it. But yet I was still apologetic for it. Yet the hurts, the pains, I was even thinking, how did I do this to myself? I had to be the one who destroyed my body. And in so much of learning was that I was traveling my way into my own death because it was so easy. I thought it would be easier to just let myself not be here than it was to actually let myself live for me. Because the hardest thing that we can do is to actually live our own lives and to live for ourselves, to live doing things for ourselves, live enjoying company and enjoying other women's presence and being present with other women, letting ourselves embody and embrace life and our journey with ourselves. And that us being alive don't mean we're going to perfect it. It means that we're going to say to ourselves that I'm worth living. And I had to say yes to me. And so I guess in a way, it's another level of saying I'm done. I'm done, right? I'm done with that part. I'm done sitting with the shadow. I'm done sitting over there. I'm done sitting on the fence. I'm done apologizing. I'm done pleasing. I'm done all of that. and I'm done traveling through that journey. It was like it's like a mercy game. And we keep getting that, mercy, twisting our wrist, twisting our arm. When you're kids and someone put your arm behind your back and twist it, or you're shackled up in these stories. And this is where grace entered. So in that moment of realizing that, I don't even know if I fully could understand it until I was home and we had just done some more work on a book, and I felt myself getting angry. And then I realized that and when I went to bed one night, I remembered this experience in the hospital. And I would stop at my friend and her telling me to come back. And then she came back to me in my sleep while I was home. And she had said, I have waited a lifetime to be here. I've waited a lifetime to be here, to just be able to just be here in this moment that she was in, something she had happening, something she needed to do. And what she needed to do was on the other side. And what I had done during my journey was I had spiritually held my child that didn't make it to earth. And I had held this baby while I was here in my work and speaking to this little soul. And seeing this journey all the way through was that child on the other side, that friend, that, everything else that was there was just telling me, how about for once in your life, you fully live for you? And living for you does not mean that you stop helping others. It means that you live, you live, you live your life. And I don't even know where else to take that. I don't even know where else to go with that today. But I do want to bring it back to each and every one of you women and men, whoever might be listening to this, that hope holds us, faith carries us. Mercy brings in grace. And when we show ourselves mercy, we can free ourselves of a lot of things. But until we can the biggest mercy is learning to say, yes, okay, okay, okay. I will sit with the best of me. I will live the best of me. I will go back. I will step into my life and I will live my life. And I'll live my life as if my everything of my beautiful future is here. And I always say it's like I'm collecting debts. I'm collecting debts. I'm collecting the life that was owed to me that I simply just gave away. We discount our lives. We discount our value. We discount what we bring to the table. And we forget that we are miracle makers. We are the ones that bring life into this earth. And there's such power in us. And we bring such power. And we are such magical beings, but we forget about that. And we forget who and what we are on such a level. And every one of those little experiences that I shared little glimpses of, those were as if I was walking the stairway to heaven. But that stairway to heaven was definitely met of walking through hell. I feel like I had to be taken on a journey of where all of a sudden I had to walk through hell. And I always thought this was all new beginnings that were happening. But all of this was endings and new beginnings. It is like my very first card. It's the 0 card. And in that zero card, it literally is, there's always endings, beginnings, middles. There's always 3 experiences. There's always 4 experiences happening at once. There's always another experience. So there's an ending, there's a new beginning, there's life. And so when I thought I was living, when I thought I was alive, there was parts of me that were there. There was always the doubt. There was always the fear. But this became the evolution. So the death of the ego, maybe, the um, reborn, born again. I freaking don't even know these are all languages and hypes that we add. But spark of hope. I really had to die, and I can tell you I've died. I really had to die to let die all that who I was not, and finally let who I really truly am come to life. And I so look forward to sharing more, and I'll dive deep into some of these death experiences, and I'll dive deep into some more of the information that I want to share with it along the way. But today I just wanted to give you this. Today I just wanted to give you this. I don't know who needs it. I don't know who needs to hear it, but no matter what we got happening at work, in your life, no matter how many things, and no matter how many times say it's like, oh, I don't even want to do this no more. As long as we keep saying yes to everyone else and to the shadows, and as long as we have all of these things that are existing around us that just take up so much space, they'll always have ownership over it. It feels like we're always being dragged down. Something is always trying to drag us down. There's a freedom. And when I met with that divine, and then when I could meet with myself, and I could meet with my own soul, your soul is not separate from you. You are not a separate entity from this big energy of you. You're all of this. And it doesn't mean we're all here to be rock stars. It's we're all here to say yes to living, to be in that self. And this is as long as I can sit. I'm way past the time that I'm supposed to be sitting and recording this. So I'm going to go. I'm going to let this podcast in. She is more than existing. And I guess this is probably the ties deeply into the title that I thought I was going to change, but now she is more than existing. We are here to truly let those stories die and let ourselves come to life. Don't leave your story to be told by somebody when you're not here. Become your living legacy. Become your truth. Become your love. Become your light. You are worth creating those beautiful experiences. I send you so much love, and I look forward to sharing more with you on another day and another time. Much love. Bye-bye.